Hi everyone, Steve, G1807 Golf 8 November Foxtrot Zulu again. This is part 3 of the ICOM IC7300 series of videos. I hope that you're watching these in sequence for best benefit. This part is about the controls that affect operating mode. This is pretty much the simplest display that you will see on the radio. We're using VFOA tuned to 3.65 MHz lower sideband, using a 3 kHz wide IF filter and fast AGC. We're in an amateur band and the radio is able to transmit. It's 2 minutes past 3. The signal we're receiving is only S1 on the meter. We've chosen the second scale on the meter to be SWR. To select the operating mode for the radio, we need to touch the mode button on screen, which at the moment says LSB. The mode selection buttons appear. Touching SSB chooses the correct conventional sideband for the band we're in. Touch SSB when already using sideband and the sideband swaps. So lower sideband swaps to upper sideband, for example. AM and FM select their modes. CW and RTTY both have reverse options, switching sidebands, and in the case of RTTY, swapping mark and space tones. The data option is an add-on for SSB, AM and FM. It's an on-off toggle and amends the selected mode to permit data control of the radio by computer. These options give us 12 operating modes in all. Lower sideband, upper sideband, lower sideband data, upper sideband data, AM, AM data, FM, FM data, CW, CW reverse, RTTY and RTTY reverse. For the CW enthusiasts, there is a setting that allows the CW frequency to be aligned with single sideband so that they tune in the same place. Thus, if you find a CW signal when listening to single sideband, a mode swap will stay on the same frequency. We've now chosen CW, just to keep the key people on board. See what I did there? There are specific operating options for the CW mode. Press the multifunction knob and a menu is offered that has CW specific options. You may set the keyer speed to anything from 6 to 48 words a minute. You can set the CW pitch that you prefer to anywhere between 300 and 900 Hz. The RF power out setting is available in all modes. When you're in CW mode, the only immediate visible change to the touchscreen menu is the replacement of voice with keyer. When you choose keyer, the keyer panel shows 8 message buttons, plus the edit set and the -1 buttons. Make a note that message M2 has a small up arrow on the button. We'll start with edit set. It raises a submenu. The submenu has 3 options: edit, 001 set, and CW key set. We'll visit them out of sequence as they make more sense that way. Start with 001 set. The radio can send, in CW, a contact serial number. It can automatically add one to the number for each contact. By default, and as indicated by the little up arrow on the button, message 2 holds the report with a place for the serial number to be inserted. Count up trigger is set here to M2, and most people will leave it there. What that number is now is shown by present number. In this case, I've set it to 003. This system is designed to perpetuate the sending of a 599 report. We've all heard your 5 and 9, what's your call sign please? Number style is designed to accommodate CW conventional shorthand for some digits. There are 5 options in the number style menu. Normal sends digits in full. ANO sends DIDR, letter A for 1. and dot it, letter N for 9, with U, V, 4, 5, 6, B and D for the other numbers, and da 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 for 0. ANT is similar but sends just a single da for 0. The more conservative NO only replaces 9 and 0, which are both quite long in Morse if you're a desperate contester counting every second, and NT goes just a bit further along that road. All to save a couple of symbols. I imagine the repeats and errors waste more time than these save, but hey ho, the CW guys will have fun with this one. Here's the count set screen. The plus and minus buttons change the number which will be sent next. Turning the multifunction knob also adjusts this number. The CW key set menu is a two-pager. Here you can set the key type you're using, choosing from straight, bug or paddle. If you choose a paddle, you can also choose which side is dit and which is dar. The keyer is iambic mode B. The rise time of the symbols can be set in milliseconds. The current value here is 4 milliseconds and should be set to minimize key clicks, bearing in mind the intended sending speed. You can choose from 2, 4, 6 or 8 milliseconds. Keyer repeat is to set how long a pause between repeat transmissions of a message should you choose to automatically repeat it. Anything from 1 to an amazing 60 seconds. We'll come to that. The ratio of dot to dash length is also optional. Although convention says a dash is 3 times a dot, you might want to converse with friends who tend to draw out the dash a little longer, as a racist joke, based on the fact that American Morse used to have letter L as a long dash, the possible origin of a bad operator being called a lid, so that sending da did it, Li, as opposed to da did it, the D. Options are 1 to 2.8 through 1 to 4.5 in 18 steps, each of 0.1. You can set what side tone level you like and whether it will be disabled by turning the audio gain above that level. And the last option implies total desperation, because you can, should you so wish, use the microphone up and down buttons as a keyer. Not just as a key, but they work as a full iambic keyer. Totally mad. By the way, if you choose this, those buttons stop working as frequency or memory up-down buttons. The two-page edit menu lists the messages. Message 2 contains the count-up number. See the little arrow? And as I've said, perpetuates the 599 report. Let's choose message 2 to edit by touching it. The message comes into view in total. This is so that it can all be viewed, as the total message length can be up to 70 characters, far more than will fit in the editor window. Touch Edit to go on. And here is an editing screen with a QWERTY keyboard. The automatic number is represented by the asterisk, which can be found on the optional symbol keyboard. The SYMB button goes there. The automatic number can only go into one message memory at a time, and it has to be set in the count up trigger option, which is easiest left as M2. Entering the caret symbol before a pair of letters will execute them as an elision or prosign, so that AR, for example, will send as didadidadit without a letter gap. Back at the keyer panel, if we should have a failed contest contact, or more likely need to resend a report, then the -1 button reduces the count by 1 to allow a number to be resent. The button shows what number it's on. We can just touch a button to send that message in CW. To send the message repeatedly, we simply touch and hold, and the pause time we set earlier controls the gap between repeats. The button highlights to indicate that it is sending, and the message scrolls across the strap bar at the top of the keyer panel. See the upper screenshot. A repeat icon appears on the button if we've chosen that in the lower screenshot. Touch the button again, or your key, or push the physical exit button to stop sending. By default, the radio will not transmit CW. If you use the key or keyer or send a pre-made message, then you will only send side tone. You have a really expensive practice oscillator. You have to be in break-in mode in order to actually transmit. Short press the Vox break-in button once and you'll now be in break-in mode, the screen shows you. Press and hold the Vox break-in button and the multifunction menu opens with the opportunity to set the delay after sending before the radio drops back to receive. By default, it's 7.5 dot lengths. Short press the Vox break-in button twice and you'll change to full break-in mode. The radio drops back to receive between every symbol, the CW equivalent of full duplex. Now we look at another mode. When in the RTTY mode, the main menu changes. The voice button changes to one labelled Decode. All the other options are unchanged. Pressing the Decode button opens the RTTY decode panel half size, but it's best seen expanded using a touch of the Expand Set screen button, which I've done here. The screen buttons are 1, which is used to switch to a second button set, Hold, which freezes the panel, Clear, which clears the contents of the panel, TX-Mem, used to access the transmit memories, and Expand Set, which expands the panel or gives access to the set menu. Within the panel, when opened from scratch, the heading statement clearly shows that only 45 bit per second, 2125 Hz mark, and 170 Hz shift RTTY can be decoded or sent. There are settable options for other speeds, mark frequencies and shifts within the menu system, but they are only usable by a computer sending FSK signals digitally via the radio. This reduces the value of the RTTY feature significantly. We can only hope that future firmware updates may address this. The panel shows decoded RTTY received, and rubbish if the frequency is noisy, and any RTTY sent from the pre-created memories. There's no keyboard interface. You can't type RTTY to transmit. In the RTTY mode, the multifunction button menu has a specific option. TPF stands for Twin Peak Filter. The filter is very sharp and has two specific peaks for mark and space frequencies. With the TPF on, only those frequencies will receive a sharp response. The filter will significantly improve the correct reception of RTTY, but it will still depend upon a good signal-to-noise ratio. With the filter on, careful tuning of the signal to match the two waterfall streams to the two indicated filter peaks, there is a tuning indicator at the top of the filter box as well, is essential. Here we see the alternate set of buttons. 2 is obviously, I hope, for switching back to the other set. Log allows recording of RTTY traffic to files. Log View allows recorded traffic files to be viewed and managed, and Adjust offers a setting to modify decoder sensitivity in an attempt to reduce mistaken characters. This can be set between 1 and 15. The default is 4, and it's altered using the main tuning dial for a change. Even set at 15, unless the background is very quiet, some false decoding still takes place. Imperfect decoding on a noisy band causes random characters to appear between real signals. Here's some real RTTY being received. You can see the twin peak filter aligned with the signal from DJ5RQ. The scope in the upper part of the screen shows the mark and space tone separation when the span of the scope is set to plus and minus 2.5 kHz. Touch and hold the Expand Set button to reach the RTTY Decode Set menu. There are 2 pages containing 7 options. All of the color options allow a choice of 16 million colors each, based on RGB values. Thankfully, they also have a default button to put it all back. USOS means unshift on space. Because the Baldo 5-bit set can only access 31 values, it has to be used twice to allow all letters, numbers, and limited punctuation. Two codes are used to swap between letters and numbers. If a letters code gets missed, then garbage numbers get printed until the next letters command is correctly received. Since a space is always a space, it's reasonable assumption in plain language that a letter follows a space. By automatically unshifting on space, letters are rescued from corruption. As Andrew Barron says in his book, if you're a spy sending 5-number code groups, turn this off. By default, it is on. Averaging smooths the scope waveform. In some circumstances, it might aid visual tuning. RTTY geeks can tune the tones by ear anyway. This is TXMem, the RTTY message memory pop-up panel. Just as for CW, there can be 8 pre-typed messages. One touch sends, touch and hold repeats. If you send CQ and anyone responds, it will take you some time to edit a message to include their call sign. It can be done if you respond to someone else's CQ. You've probably just about got time to do it, but the other way around is likely to prove extremely messy. If you call this panel while the scope is showing, the buttons will be reduced in size. Touch Edit to work on a message. The list of messages appears. There are actually 2 screens to cover all 8 messages. This is the first only. Touch one or choose by rotating the multifunction knob and then pressing it to edit. Note the little arrow symbols which mean carriage return and line feed. When a message is touched, the message appears in full. Just as for CW, a message can be up to 70 characters long. Touch Edit to make changes. And edit away. RTTY has a special character on the symbol keyboard, the carriage return line feed, CRLF, represented in the messages by a down and left arrow. Other than that, RTTY punctuation is very limited. Choosing the log button opens the RTTY decode log menu. The decode log option shows a list of recorded files. Each is date time-stamped and shows its size. The log set option opens a submenu to set the parameters of the logging operation. It's worth noting that the timestamp can be local or UTC, a rare option to make this choice, and for most purposes this will be changed to UTC because it is a log file. Clicking a decode log entry opens a sequence of screens to show the log in detail. A text log is quite plain. An HTML log allows the contrasting colors of received and transmitted text to be seen. This is a text file. It's dated. It shows that it was received, and it shows the frequency. It shows a date timestamp to the second. RTTY logging is quite comprehensive. This is Gunter, DM5EL, reporting his contact with Darko Ivancevic, S58Q, in Slovenia, giving him number 062, with the classic 599 report in a RTTY contest on the 9th of November 2019. He's received number 125 in return. Then he called QRZ, contacting Serhiy Nagykov, UR3PA, in Ukraine. He then returned to CQ test, and his next contact was Eugene Sukhanov, RA3LJ, in Smolensk, Russia. The file can be edited in a computer to remove the rubbish. And that concludes part 3. There are a number of functions that are less specific to the chosen mode, mostly affecting voice traffic. I'll begin part 4 by showing an overview of the actual hardware, and some more buttons will become evident as I do so. For now, 73 is G8 and FZ, Golf 8 November Foxtrot Zulu.